Her message hit my phone at 3:07 a.m. A vibration against the nightstand. A sound too sharp for the hour, too deliberate. I didn't open my eyes at first, I just lay there, listening to the hum of the dark. Her breathing beside me was absent, she hadn't come home yet, again. When I finally reached for the phone, the blue glow felt surgical against my skin. I don't need your permission to live my life. No greeting, no apology for being gone, just the kind of sentence that doesn't come from nowhere. I sat up slowly, spine cold, mind colder. My thumbs moved almost on their own. Then stopped needing my house to come home to. I hit send. The room went dead still as if the walls were waiting to see what I would do next. 5 minutes later, my phone lit up like a city on fire. 23 missed calls. Voicemails full of frantic breathing, half words, a panic she had never once shown me before. She begged, she cried, she said my name like it was the only word she remembered. And I just watched the screen, silent, steady. Because something in me had already shifted, and once it shifted, it didn't shift back. Her breakdown didn't surprise me, not really. People only panic like that when they fear the collapse of a world they've been carefully balancing on lies. I replayed her message again. Not for the words, those were easy to decode. For the tone. The tone of someone defending a freedom she'd already taken without asking. She stumbled through the door around 3:40 a.m., mascara smudged into constellations across her cheeks. She looked at me as if I held the trigger to a trap she didn't know she stepped on. "Please," she whispered, breath trembling, "it's not what you think." I didn't tell her what I thought. I didn't tell her I smelled cologne that wasn't mine. Or that she was wearing a sweater she never wears unless she wants to look accidentally put together. I didn't tell her I knew this moment was inevitable. I simply nodded, slow and expressionless, and said, "Go to sleep." Her relief was instant and too deep. The kind of relief that belongs to someone who believes they've been forgiven. I watched her crawl into bed beside me, back turned, shoulders quaking. I watched her pretend she was safe. But I didn't sleep. I stayed awake until dawn, counting the seconds between her breaths. Suspicion isn't a sudden storm, it's a slow leak. And by then, the floor of my marriage was already soaked. I became quiet in the days that followed, quiet but precise. She mistook it for hurt. I let her. I studied her phone behavior, how she angled the screen away, how she kept notifications off. I learned her new patterns, the late errands, the sudden desire to get fresh air, the careful lies that didn't yet know they were lies. I didn't confront. Confrontation is emotional. Emotion clouds strategy. Instead, I collected. Phone records, bank statements, location pings she forgot I still had access to. Each piece was small, but small things carry weight when stacked with intention. I found the name, Evan, a name she never said, a name she tried to bury under digital footprints that weren't quite deep enough. He lived across town, a bachelor apartment with one parking spot that her car occupied on nights she claimed she was working late. I kept every screenshot, every timestamp, every pathetic, pixelated confession she didn't know she was making. And when I ordered the DNA kit, I did it without trembling, not because I suspected the worst, because I already knew the truth was worse than I suspected. The test was for confirmation, a final, clinical step in a story that had already told me its ending. When the results came back, I didn't open them immediately. I stared at the envelope for a long, steady minute. Then I sliced it open. One line, one verdict. Everything in me went silent. Still, absolute. Not mine. The child she'd cried for. The future she'd begged me to fight for. The life she said we were building together. Not mine. A truth like that doesn't break you. It clarifies you. That night I placed the opened envelope on the kitchen table. Nothing else. Just the truth waiting. She walked in humming, light, careless, until she saw it. Then she froze. Her eyes moved from the paper to my face, desperate for a version of reality she could survive. "What is that?" she whispered. I didn't answer. My silence was the answer. She reached for the paper, hands shaking so violently the page rattled. I watched her read the line, the single sentence that erased every lie she'd built her comfort upon. Her knees buckled. She gripped the edge of the table like the room was tilting. "Please, please, I can explain." "You don't need to," I said quietly. I already knew. And the simplicity of that truth destroyed her more than any accusation could. She followed me from room to room, sobbing, begging, choking on apologies that tasted of desperation, not remorse. I let her talk, let her drown in her own explanations. When she finally ran out of breath, I set my phone on the counter and played the voicemails. The frantic ones, the ones from 3 a.m., the ones where she let the truth slip between hysterical gulps of air. "I messed up. God, please, don't leave, don't leave. He said he'd tell." Her own words, her real panic, her real guilt. I didn't raise my voice, I didn't accuse. I simply said, "I know everything, and I'm done pretending I don't." She collapsed at my feet, grabbing my hands like a lifeline she no longer deserved. But I had already withdrawn. There was nothing left to hold. I packed in silence the next morning. Not much, the essentials. The things I owned before her. The things that would outlast her. She watched from the doorway, face swollen, voice gone. I didn't comfort her. I didn't promise anything. Some truths don't need closure. They are closure. When I stepped outside, the morning air felt clean for the first time in months. I didn't look back, not once. Some houses burn quietly, some marriages too. And as I walked away, I realized something simple. I wasn't leaving her. I was leaving the version of myself she thought would never walk away. And that version was already dead. The final door closed behind me like a verdict, and I didn't feel a thing.